Greetings, everyone, from the world of tomorrow. I'm still doing the joke. I'm still going for it. But
I think that should just be our intro this season now.
yeah, it's greetings, citizens of Gotham, from the Neo-Gotham of tomorrow. This is, what did we settle on last week? Bat Minutes Beyond Neo-Chunks of the Joker. Jokers. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
I am your other host, John Parker.
And this week, we're doing weekly now. You know, I'm completely discombobulated with this new format.
You need
already.
to put yourself in the mind frame that we're doing our other show now. We're doing Miami Minutes.
Yes, so
that's a weekly show.
But this week, we are joined by our first guest of the season, and he's been out of the game for a while, but he's still got it. We'll see. Heartily welcome back to the podcasting forum, one Neil Brown.
Hello, chaps.
Woo.
I feel like I'm sure you do still got it, as it were, but that's a lot of pressure.
We'll see. How the devil are you both?
Pretty good.
Not bad at all. Very excited to be looking at weird Batman animations that I've never seen because I don't watch a lot of animated stuff. I'm an adult.
Right.
You were an adult when this was airing, John. This was like proper.
I know, I'm having fun. Animation isn't for the children.
I mean, people would if you wanted to make a podcast about animated films, you'd have to be a pretty lame, quite frankly. But Neil, you wouldn't know anything about that, now would you?
I'm sure we'll get onto that. Didn't you just do a whole series on an animated one?
Yeah.
Shut up! Don't let them know.
Well, but yeah, we're here today just to get all the formalities out of the way to talk about Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, Chunk 2. Which is from 5 minutes and 0 seconds to 10 minutes and 0 seconds.
You can just say it's minutes 6 to 10.
Minutes 6 to 10. There you go.
That's easier because it's 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Yeah. There you go.
And it opens with some dangling clown girls. Or one dangling clown girl, but though she's kind of like half of the same dangling clown girl. But
hang on, before you even finish your sentence, this is something that while making notes for the season, I know we talked about it last week, but while making notes, I'm really running into bother talking about Dee Dee.
No, Dee Dee is basically a singular entity, so it is very hard to talk separate. About them. Yeah, but they're always there's two of them, but there's one of them. It's like we are Dee Dee, for we are many.
So what? But it's two girls, isn't it? I mean, it's two girls. They just got some weird sort of mental issue.
Oh no, I think they're twin sisters, but they've both got the same name. So
yeah, but that's okay. I mean.
Yeah, but it's always the way they always refer to each other as a girl, you know.
It's like it's like they're just like very close.
Mm.
Yeah.
They find their skeletons snuggled up in the future, and then all the old archaeologists will go like, "Oh, they look like they were good friends." Yeah.
It'd be a good Halloween costume, wouldn't it? Like if you obviously need a buddy.
Yeah. And I think we were saying that last week. Is like they are. I don't think they were made with the purposes of cosplaying in mind, but they are like a cosplayer's dream.
Definitely.
Because if you can team up with someone to do a DD, people are going to applaud that. I think.
That's the thing. Like I know people were doing cosplays, you know, in this era, but yeah, and they were doing them before. But I feel like cosplay didn't become like a massive deal until after this.
No. I think
where everyone was doing it. People know what the word. If I had said that word to my parents, they would have been like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I think it was like late 2000s, like maybe around 2009, 2010 was about like I started noticing it being. So I think that also because like if you do a DD, I think it would be like. It's not like just doing the Joker, which is nowadays will be like, oh, for God's sake, unless you've got some really good spin on it or you're just amazing at it. People are going to be like, oh, the Joker's been done to death. But if you do a DD, it's a little bit more off the beaten track, so it'll get a bit more, I think you'll have a bit more clout.
Respect. Yeah.
And sometimes you go too far, because I remember there was a viral meme of a girl who had done like this crazy Dual Dent cosplay, and then she got like all these nerds online laying into her, going like, what is this, some sort of gender flipped Joker Two-Face hybrid. Like, what the hell are you doing? You're trying way too hard. And then they had to come out and be like, it's an actual character from the comics. You freaking
Owned.
absolute
Suckers.
dipsticks. Come on.
Yeah, you don't stray into sort of the who are you supposed to be territory too much, but there's just a fine line, isn't it? You get you get the cred, but then it's like you lose it as soon as you stray over that line.
It's a tough one, yeah, because you want to be original and unique, but then if you've got to explain it, it's kind of ruined.
Yeah.
Although I say though, DeeDee would be a good and relatively, as long as you get a partner, it's a relatively easy costume to do. But ironically, I think like Terry McGinnis Batman is one of the most difficult ones because you're just like, what is this outfit? Like, what's it made of? Like, what's
Well,
how are you going to do it?
You've got to be quite a svelte individual to pull it off.
That's
true.
true.
There's that, but it's also, as soon as you get to the face, it's just like, so what is his face? Like, what is it? Is it fabric clutching to like the contours of his face? Like, what is happening there? Like,
I think it
It is
is.
because I mean, sorry if it's a spoiler, but you do see him take his mask off, or you see someone take his mask off, and then you see him put it on, and when he puts it back on, it's like no one can put a mask on that easily, and he just whips it on with one hand. And then it's just
messing
immediately
with it for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It's immediately like sucked onto his face.
I think like in cosplayers from reality, you'd have to be like, oh, maybe you make it like a helmet or something, and then it just has like a. But then within the comic or within the actual show and stuff too, like episodes where he's fighting Ink, her big move is to just like pour herself down your throat, and so it's just like, well, he specifically has to have like an open mouth and stuff, so it's like that's part of So it's I would never voluntarily do Terry McGinnis Batman for a costume because it just would be like a logistical like what do you do like how do you pull that off? But
it's a tough one.
I realized I really distracted you there. You didn't even say how the minute ended.
Oh, and the minute ends a minute later
Not
with some guy staring at the screen.
Happens.
Bruce Wayne being uncharacteristically grumpy, if you can believe it. But I should ask though, Neil, straight off the bat, make that joke once every couple episodes. Where are you coming? Because you weren't on for Mask of the Phantasm last year, so we should just ask in general. Where do you come into not just Return of the Joker and not just Batman Beyond, but because you're a little bit older than me and John, so like how did you get introduced to the DCAU universe, as it were?
Well, I mean, this follows on from the animated series, doesn't it? And whatever that one was called right after the animated series. Animated series ended. There was two series of what did they call that one? It was very much like the animated series.
Yeah, the new Batman Adventures.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's right. And then this came right after, and I remember watching this at the time. It was great. It was because it was so different, right? And you'd never seen a Batman like this set in the future. It was just really, really interesting in all sorts of ways. And they'd put a lot of, I mean, the guys who wrote this are all the guys who did the animated series, right? And they must have just had, after doing that for like 4 or 5 years, and then the other one for 2 years, they must have just had so much fun thinking like, crumbs, right, if we're going to set this like 40 years in the future, what's it going to be like? And not just like what's it going to look like, the cities, it's like what are the characters going to be like? And all the thing about the Joker gang, and all the different sort of baddies that sort of come back but don't in different guys, and new baddies that are designed around sort of future tech and stuff like that. They must have just had a whale of a time because they're having been sort of stuck in one sort of era for 6-7 years. So they went to town on it, and I've always sort of been fascinated ever since I used to read Super Play magazine, being a Super Nintendo guy back in the 90s, and being sort of fascinated with Japanese culture as a result, because that leaned very much into the sort of Japanese anime scene. You'd get like in that magazine, you would get like every month. I think it was a monthly. Every month you get like a 2 or 3 page sort of bit on the anime scene in Japan, and so that sort of got me started on anime, and so that was a little bit before this. I think this is like end of the 90s, so that would have been sort of mid 90s, and a lot of animes is set in the future. They did that a lot earlier than we sort of did. And so this was the first real sort of Western take on that. And well, sorry, it wasn't the first real Western take. I've got some notes on something else that's very akin to this that was also set in the future. But that and this one were just a breath of fresh air for a kid like me who loved Japan and loved the future sort of vision that came through anime. This was just, and then you throw Batman into the mix. It's just like, it doesn't get any better than that, really.
Well, you would have been coming at it too. There's one thing we didn't address last week is that, of course, we all now know it as Batman Beyond. But of course, in the UK and other areas, it was called Batman of the Future.
Batman of the Future. Yep.
Apparently, the working title was Batman Tomorrow.
Yeah.
The Batman of Tomorrow, which I guess is kind of like, you have to nix that because it's like, well, Superman is the man of tomorrow, so the Batman of tomorrow is like, well.
I was about to say, if you do the full title as The Batman of Tomorrow, I like it until you pointed that out.
But then Batman Tomorrow is a little bit like Batman Forever, which I like as a title, but that's because I like everything about the marketing of Batman Forever. I just love to this day.
I think Forever's more, it's punchier than Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Forever's got a kind of defiant quality, like Batman Forever.
But this is more like, I'll be Batman tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. I feel like it.
Although maybe some could argue then, like maybe that's Terry McGinnis's arc, is like he's trying to be Batman, but he's not quite getting there yet, so he'll be Batman tomorrow.
Nice.
I'm almost Batman, okay.
And like, I'd argue Terry doesn't really become full-fledged Batman until the end of this film. Like I think it's, in my mind, a lot of this is like, yeah, the way he manages to defeat the Joker, and then it's official. Bruce is finally like, yep, I'm officially done. I'm not clinging on as hard anymore, and it's like, yep, you are now Batman, kid. Like this is like, but that's personal opinion. People could say from episode 2 of the show he was Batman because he's going around in the suit.
I think he's always sort of on probation for most of the series, right? I think there was only 3 series of this, something like that. And I think for the most part he's on probation, and sometimes he goes over the line, and Bruce sort of reins him in a bit. But yeah, I think I think he is. He does. I mean, certainly the end of this movie, without wanting to give any spoilers away to the listeners, I think certainly is a watershed moment. He becomes the man, the Batman.
In some ways, he's going like almost like beyond Batman. In some ways, like
beyond Batman Beyond.
Although I have to say, I think I remember when it was on Irish TV. I have a vague memory of it being called Batman of Tomorrow, Batman Beyond. So nice. Maybe in Ireland they were like, we're just hedging our bets here. We'll see what happens. Like,
throw it all out there. See what people latch onto.
Like Ireland, a classically divided country.
We'll test it in Ireland.
Yeah, they gave the South a different title.
Doesn't matter if we mess it up there. It's fine.
It feels a little bit like, though, because it's usually the other way, where like they'll have to call, like they had to change Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, because they're like, oh, Americans won't know what a philosopher is or whatever.
Of course they will.
It feels then like this, calling it Batman of the Future is a bit then like, people won't understand what Batman Beyond means, so you have to pitch it to these idiots. Like, it's like, he's in the future. It's like, you can just watch it and see. You can tell by the opening credits he's in the future, for Christ's sake. Well,
I'm glad.
Do you remember the first time you saw this film in particular, Neil?
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Well, look, not specifically. My brain doesn't really work like that. But it was out sort of at the end of the run. I remember that much because a lot's happened to get to this point with Terry McGinnis, right? And it doesn't need assumed knowledge. You can go into this movie. It to be honest, it helps to watch the first couple of episodes of season 1 to see.
That's exactly what I did. I watched the double bill.
Yeah, you
kicks off the season
just to see how he gets into the suit and all that, and that really helps. And like, why is Bruce Wayne in the Batcave pretending to be Alfred? So that definitely helps. But other than that, you can just go straight in, right?
I like the idea of Bruce pretending to be Alfred. Like Terry comes in and Bruce shows up in like a little bow tie and just like hands him a tray of tea. Like, there you go, sir. Terry's just like, what the hell is happening? What's
That's
this?
what Terry needs to truly transform into Batman. He needs tea. He's not had any tea.
You need someone to introduce him to Vichy Swaz.
That's it. He's just like, I'm going to go nuke this in the microwave.
It's
like,
supposed to be cold, sir.
And Bruce is too slow with the cane. He's like, I can't get to him. And trying to knock the Vichy Swaz, the microwave off button with a stick or something.
But that's a really great part of the writing, right? Like, what do we do with Bruce Wayne? Well, it's the future. Alfred's always so much more elderly than Bruce. So he'd obviously be gone. But obviously we need an Alfred figure. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? That is the elderly Bruce doing that from the Batcave.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. And it's the fact that it's an idea that's just like, it will not go as long as Michael Keaton is alive. That idea of him being this version of Bruce Wayne just won't clear off. Even after like The Flash, and people were like sort of like, oh my god, it's done. We'll never get Keaton in the Batsuit again. Literally like 2 weeks later, they're like, so we're getting a Batman Beyond movie with Michael Keaton, right? Like that's what everyone.
Is that what the talk was? Because I was going to ask you guys, has there been you're much more in the Bat scene than I am. Has there been any chat about a live action movie of this ever? Like just a Batman Beyond ever?
Oh yeah, there's always been talk of ever since the show came out, there's always been talk of like, oh yeah, Batman Beyond movie. Like literally.
But especially recently.
But yeah, recently they've had like the some animators leaked. I think they're trying to do like a Deadpool thing where, like the Deadpool test footage came out and it got leaked to the internet and everyone was going, what? This looks amazing. So on the back of that, it convinced Fox to like make a Deadpool movie. And I think some animators were trying to do the same thing of like, well, look at all this spec, animation work we've done for a Batman Beyond, but doesn't this look cool? Wouldn't you like to see this, internet? Maybe if you bug James Gunn onto the head of DC, he might do that for you. And I don't know if it's had the same amount of traction, but I wouldn't be surprised. Although I think at the minute, like DC's almost like could they handle another Batman? Because they got R-Pats, they got whatever James Gunn's going to be doing with his version. And then it's going to be like, can you throw in a third Batman on top of that? And then you'll also have the Bruce Timm's new animated thing that he's coming out with.
Yeah, I might be pushing it a bit.
Yeah, so they might be like, but then at the same time, you could be like, well, this isn't Bruce Wayne. He's in the future. It's a different guy, different character.
Every sort of live action Batman they've ever done, apart from Adam West, is like this really dark sort of like. Okay, apart from the Schumacher ones, right? They were silly, but they're always otherwise just really grim, dark, grimy adult movies, right? Like for grown-ups. And it's like, okay, you've done that like quite a lot now. Do something different, and this is perfect. This is perfect to go to after you've done 6 in a row grimy ones for the grown-ups.
Agree.
Although then you could say like, you don't want to go dark and grimy anymore. Do an adaptation of that one where the Joker tortures Robin into being like a mini Joker and stuff. Like, I guess that was pretty messed up when they did that. But
then it's got fun as well. It's like a mixture, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't literally have to do that same plot line. It's like, yeah, you can do whatever. You can just. I think that was a lot of the task they had. You're saying it must have been a lot of fun to make the show, Neil. I think like. They were a bit daunted, really, because Batman Beyond almost starts off on the back foot, because one, they were just told to make, like, they didn't come up with the idea organically. The network just said, we're canceling your show and you're going to make us a teen-based Batman show, and we don't know what that is, but just go and make it. And so they just had to kind of cobble this together, and then the fact that like, BTAS started off with best foot forward, because you got like 70 odd years of a rogues gallery, and everybody knows who Batman is, so you don't have to set up or establish anything. It's just like you can go in and people is like, I know what's happening. Everybody gets it. Like, we know Batman, we know Robin, we know the whole thing. Whereas Batman Beyond is literally, they had to come up with a new story whole cloth, and then all these new villains and stuff as well, and just be like, we have to literally come up with everything now.
Like, I know that's a lot of work, but I imagine as a creative kind of person, it's also sort of freeing. Because, like, you know, if you use, I don't know, Scarecrow in the slightly wrong way, the fans will just whinge. Oh, God.
Goddamn
Especially
fans.
these days.
But this has never, this show has always had, right from the start, it's had dark dark plot elements. And that's fine. That's not the dark I'm talking about. Right? Like, what I'm talking about is like the look, right? The aesthetic is these days, it's raining, it's dingy, it's dim lit, it's back alleys, it's grim, it's grimy. And this is anything but that, right? This is all shiny and bright. But it's got dark elements too, right? And like, you watch that the season 1 opener, right? The double part of John, right? And that bit where there's that scene where Terry's stolen the batsuit and he's taken off in it to go and get the bad guys. Bruce finds out, gets on the back computer to talk to him, and just tells him to bring it back. But Terry refuses, right? Because he wants to get the bad guys that did something nasty. Go and watch it, guys. It's a great episode. So he refuses to bring it back. So Bruce disables the suit, right? He just presses a button and he paralyzes Terry right in the middle of Terry getting like stuck into some bad guys. So they just start kicking the shit out of him. Right. And Bruce is literally listening in the Batcave to all of this, right? Terry's getting beaten up big time. And Terry's pleading with him, like, Bruce, come on. And he's just sitting there, right? And one of them pulls out a gun. He's literally about to blow Terry away. And Terry's like, Bruce, they're about to kill me. And Bruce still just sits there in his chair, right? And he's thinking about it. And then, okay, right, I'll reactivate the goddamn suit. And then Terry beats him and gets away, right? But it's like, Jesus, not before giving him a real beating. He could have pressed the button at any point, but he just sits there. It's quite sadistic, really. So this series never pulled any punches right from the start.
I think it's been really interesting, actually, in doing the last like 2 seasons, because I've just rewatched basically the DCAU from, you know, On Leather Wings forward. And there is a definite development of Bruce Wayne as a character, and it's like one of the darkest developments of a guy, like in a kids cartoon show ever. Because he starts off at the beginning of BTAS. He's dark and brooding, and he's Batman and stuff, but he's very hopeful, and he's always trying to help people, and he's always hoping for the best. Like we'll get to later in this chunk, Two-Face, Harvey Dent. He always has such like I'm always. There was an episode which ends with Two-Face been captured, and then they're saying like, "Yep, your surgery's been prepped to, you know, facial reconstructive surgery, Mr. Dent, been paid for by Bruce Wayne." And Bruce is there, and Harvey's just like, "Oh, Bruce, you always were a great friend and stuff." And it seems like Bruce Wayne at this point is like, "Yeah, we're going to get you the help you need, Harvey. I believe that you're going to get better." And he's always like that. Even when like Harley gets the Harley's Holiday, she gets paroled, and Batman's there, and he just shakes her hand. He's like, "Best of luck. Like, I'm hoping you're going to make a good run of this." It seems like he genuinely believes in redemption and things like that. By the time you get to Batman Beyond, he is so jaded and so broken.
Oh, he's a completely different guy, almost. Like, not in a bad way.
so embittered. And he's so, like, when Mr. Freeze reappears in one episode, he has no regard for him. He's just like, no, he's evil, and he's a piece of crap, and you can't trust him. And it's only but then throughout Batman Beyond, he, being like a father to Terry, softens him up again. And so that's a really good point to come in, where it's like, yeah, you know, when we meet him at the beginning of the show, being Batman has actually actively broke him as a human being. He is just so jaded and cynical about the world because he's spent 30 plus years fighting the same assholes who couldn't be redeemed and stuff. And then, yeah, so that's where he is. He's at that point of like, I could just let this kid die when he's out there, because it's just like, I'm just done. I'm done with all this crap. Like,
maybe that's what he really is. What he's thinking about, sitting in that chair. Like, if I just let this kid die, then I just go back to my life. But if I let him live, then we're opening this whole kind of worms up again.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah. There's always like we'll get, of course, to Ace the Bat Hound as well.
I'm always mixed on that character. Do we call them a character?
I think he's as much a character as anyone else.
Yeah.
But there's episodes where like Ace goes missing and Bruce is just like, meh, whatever. And then of course when you see him in his private moments, he's really devastated that it's gone.
Of course he is.
Yeah, but he's like, you can't show that though, because he has to appear to be a grim asshole all the time to
that's
everybody.
That's kind of cute.
But but even though you see his developments come along even in this chunk, though, because like we will get to like properly, discussing the chunk at hand, but like the fact that he's even back taking over Wayne Enterprises is a change, because he was like a proper like a hermit at the start of the show, and then now it's like again working with Terry and getting more involved in like everything to do with Gotham again. He's like, yeah. Like at 90 whatever years old he is, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go and run the company again. Like,
well, why not? He wants to be back in the game, Not if he's doing, because in a way he's doing the Batman thing, right? He's doing it the way he can do it still, by enabling Batman. So by doing that, I think he's got his finger on the pulse again. So he wants to get back into the mix.
He's also got jerks trying to run the company. So
well, that doesn't help matters. Yeah.
So what they call the again, we'll get to him, but like when he showed up in this was just like, the part of Arthur Reeves will be played by the character Jordan Price this movie, where you're just like, oh, hello, red herring. Like when Mark Hamill swaggering in is like, oh yes, I'm totally innocent man. And you're like, oh, I know you're innocent because you're way, way too obvious. Jesus Christ.
You've got to have one every time.
Yeah. But at the beginning of this chunk, though, we do come back in mid-action, and of course, Terry getting strangled. And a kind of weird, I'm choosing to believe it's a mirror to what happens at the end of the movie, and it wasn't just that they couldn't think of anything else. But him
you're being a bit too, you're giving him leeway there.
But getting strangled by a Joker, and which of course again at the end, near the movie climaxes with him getting strangled by a Joker. You think Terry was into this or something?
Wow.
Speaking of climaxing,
speaking of tight masks over the face.
Yeah, exactly. Like Schumacher's roaring back with a vengeance here in this movie.
Make an animated Batman that's just super kinky.
That's it. Don't tempt them. I'm sure it's right around the corner. But yeah, he's getting strangled by. I keep trying not to say Bronk. Not
Bonk.
Brock. Bonk.
Bonk.
Why
would you say Brock? Are you thinking of Brock Lesnar?
No, I think it's because I keep wanting to say Bronk, like the Jack Palance TV show. And then, but then internally I'm going, it's not Bronk though. And then it's like Brock.
Brock's a name.
Yeah, and then so Bonk isn't even all that much like Bronk. So it's like it's just 6 degrees of separation or whatever.
And this is Henry Rollins, right?
It is indeed Henry Rollins.
That blew my goddamn mind. I'm losing.
It's a great cast.
All threads of sanity I've got left. Even knowing he was in the movie was crazy, but then finding out what he does in the movie, I'm just like, what?
I think that's why Henry Rollins gets cast in everything. Because every time when he shows up, you're just like, Henry Rollins, what the hell? What are you doing?
What's he doing?
Wow, Henry Rollins.
Goddamn, what was it? Bad Boys 2.
Oh, remember just this past Christmas, John? He's in Jack Frost.
Yeah.
He's like the friggin' dad of TJ Detweiler or whatever.
Insane. And you know what? Right? People might think, oh, John will love Henry Rollins. I actually don't. No, I'm not a big fan of his music.
Yeah.
Because I don't really like hardcore.
He does music?
Well, apparently. No, I'm not a big fan of his music. I don't really like hardcore punk. But I like him as a person. I prefer to see his spoken word stuff, or is it being interviewed rather than listen to his music. He seems like a cool guy that I'd probably get on with. I just don't want to listen to him.
Were you a Black Flag fan, Neil? Is that your speed?
On the basis that I don't know what that is, I'm going to have to say no.
You'll have seen the people wearing the T-shirt. They've got a very identifiable logo. It's his band. Well, I say it's his band. I mean, they broke up. God, when did they break up? Late 80s?
Yeah. No. But no, they were just that's why every time he pops up, I'm like, Henry Rollins, is because in my mind he's like, oh, the Black Flag guy. They're like a hardcore
punk,
Right.
Who is Henry Rollins to you then, Neil?
I just see him popping up in movies, right? Like you say. But these guys, these characters have all got first names. They've all got proper names. Do you know that?
What, Bonk?
Bonk has a real name.
Oh, does he? Like what? Thaddeus Finch the Third is like.
This guy's Benjamin Knox.
Knox.
Maybe that's a little Knox.
He's a relative.
That's why he hates Batman so much.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is for my great-great-granddad or whatever. No, it wouldn't be that much, would it? What would it be? Granddad?
40 years on, yeah. So maybe granddad?
As well as, no, if he's in Bruce Wayne, because Knox about the same age as Bruce, right? So, yeah, just granddad, I guess. Maybe.
I think granddad, yeah. It's kind of hard to tell the age of Bonk. I think he's younger than he looks.
Yeah, he's young. He's a young kid. I think these are all just kids, like high school, maybe a bit after high school kids, right?
I think they're bordering on like the T-Birds, the Joker's gang. I think it's like a juvenile delinquent group. I don't think you ever see them like in school like you would the T-Birds or the Pink Ladies. But I think it's the same idea of like, there's just some kids from the other side of the track. They get involved with like the local gang that kind of runs out of the school or whatever. That's how you get initiated into the Jokers, is like you just be in the bad class or whatever.
Yeah, that's how my life of crime started.
Here's, of course, being the crazy quilts.
Hell yeah. You got to have a Z in there.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And yes, listeners, I'm going to keep saying Z because that's how you pronounce it. All right.
So the fat one, the fat clown, or the over. I don't know what the politically correct word is for that these days. I apologize.
You should say
the slightly overweight. The guy probably needs to do a bit more exercise than he possibly does. Chunky. Yeah. Is called Chucko. Right, that's his name. But his real name is Charles Bunce.
Oh.
Yeah, he's got a Charles vibe. He's Charles.
Well, I think Chucko as well, because Charles is always shortened down to Chuck.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I get that. I can get behind that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now I'm just trying to think, is it like Charles Bunce? Is it like a spin on Charles Schultz? Like Peanuts? And it feels like if they're doing a Knox reference, then every name would have to be a reference then, if you're going to go down that route with it, But
well, so the one that looks a bit like the Halloween guy, right? He's got the little pumpkin shirt on. His name.
I'm sure he would hate you describing him that way.
Halloween guy. His name's
little Halloween guy with his little pumpkin shirt there.
So his name's Ghoul, but his real name is Stuart Carter Winthrop III.
One of them had to be posh.
He's the posh one.
Well, I think because he's voiced by Michael Rosenbaum, who also did the Joker's character Terminal, and his story was that he was the most vicious and psychotic of the Jokers, and it turned out he was actually like a near the top of the class at school, but he was just from a rich family that had like a lot of pressure on him, and so he's just like, you gotta you above everything you have to beat literally everybody else, and it drives him to become a sociopath, basically, and try to kill people in the school who are getting ahead of him by being a Joker. So I was always kind of questioning why they just didn't bring that character back for this. But even from what you're saying there, Niels, it's like, so he sounds like he's a posh kid from the good end of town who has now decided to become a Joker's for kicks.
Across the tracks.
There's always one. There is always one.
And then just to round it out, DeeDee is Delia and Deirdre Dennis.
Okay, I like it.
But which one's which, Neil?
Which one's? Well, who knows?
You'll never know. How do we tell them apart?
You'll never know. I just like the fact that they gave them first names. And it might be that I can't remember how they sort of came about. If they came about in the series, it is a while. You guys did inspire me to do a rewatch of the series, but I haven't got too far into season 1.
How dare you come on before you've seen every single episode?
Sorry. So maybe they gave them maybe the backstories come out. Maybe they were at school with I don't know, a couple of years older than Tim.
This particular group of Jokers is it's exclusive to this movie, because the Jokers you meet in the opening episode aren't different any of these guys.
Yeah, different. Yeah,
I think it's just like different factions or different sects or whatever, like just little different cells of the Jokers and stuff around the town.
Well, isn't that a bit like Frank Miller's Batman?
Oh yeah, the mutants. Yeah,
the mutants are a bit like sort of Jokers, aren't they?
Yeah, it's very much the same. Even Bonk is very kind of like the mutant. If you just put if you gave him super sharp nipples and like the visor, is like there you go. He's basically the same guy.
Frank Miller and his nipples.
although Bonk, because in episode 1 of this season, I did say how much I enjoyed this movie. Let me reiterate that before I say this.
That's great.
But I also have. There's a lot of dialogue that annoys me.
I can't disagree with you in the dialogue that's upcoming here. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate this because they're having their fight. Bonk's strangling him, and then Batman mumbles something. Bonk can't understand him, so he releases the throat, and Batman just says flagpole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Bonk looks up. It feels like it's about 4 hours. And then boom, he hits a flagpole. I hate it. Not only is it cheesy in a bad way, how did he see it? How did he know Bonk wouldn't see it?
He's kind of lying with his head kind of arched back.
Is his head all the way back? You could see it.
And he's done in that moment where he's getting strangled to death. He's managed to calculate, right, okay, yeah, that's going to hit him if I say this at the right moment.
Well, he's Batman,
Yeah. I don't know if
that's pushing it.
I don't know if he's planning for it to hit him. I think he's kind of going you need to get down because we're going to hit this flagpole. But yeah, also should point out, of course, there that a character voiced by Henry Rollins getting defeated by a flag.
Nice. My God, I didn't think about that. There should have been a black flag.
And it was black. Yeah.
Yeah, but they just go for straight green ones. Maybe they tried to animate it. They tried to animate it black, and it's it doesn't really pop that way. So.
Or Henry was like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, there's definitely a moment where you see Terry spot the flagpole, and then he comes up and says, he definitely, there's a tiny moment where you can see it.
But he's figured out the exact amount of time he's got to do his little joke.
That's what Batman does.
I think that's just old-fashioned action movie bullplop. That's just.
I know it's going for Arnie lines, and they're not working.
Yeah, but
if Arnie did it, you'd be like, okay, fine.
I think it's literally around second 12. You see Terry's head going back, and you see his eyes expand. That's
exactly.
him going.
That's the one.
There's a thing coming, and I guess it's just the same as in because it's the end of Speed, isn't it? Like the Keanu and Dennis Hopper fighting on top of the train. And then just Keanu manages to see the light coming, Dennis Hopper doesn't, and then that's how he gets beheaded. So
that's true. It's quite similar, actually.
We could just put it down to the fact that it's a cartoon.
Yeah,
that's the word I'm having to.
It's okay.
I'm having to tell myself that.
It's all right. It's fine
because everything else is great. So I'm like, okay, and plus it does fit the character because the character annoys me.
Yeah.
I don't like
which
Terry.
What?
No, Terry. I don't like him, as we've established. No, he's. I said last week he's like John Connor. If I was a kid, I would think he was really cool. But then when I watch Terminator 2 now, I'm like, no, John Connor's the worst. And it's like that in this. I'm like, oh God, no.
I don't think he's as insufferable as John Connor. I think he's Terry's. I've never choked on him. I'm like, no, I've always been sort of okay with him. But
me neither.
I can let him off because there is growth in this movie.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with him.
Yeah,
and I know what you mean about John Connor in Terminator 2.
But again, when I watched it as a kid, I was like, John Connor's the coolest. I want to be John Connor.
I think when I was a kid, I was just like, I hate this guy. But I hated child characters in things when I was a kid because it always felt like they were.
You're an old soul.
I think it's because they always felt like they were pandering to you, and I just didn't like that. I just didn't like being sort of like, yeah, look, this is what kids are like, right? You like this, don't you? Go watch our new version of The Little Rascals or whatever. I was like, nah, I think could the movie just be about Kyle Reese again? I think Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor. I like that.
Did you guys know that they made a new series of Quantum Leap in 2022?
I heard about it, and then bizarrely I never watched it, which is odd for me because I loved the original.
I loved the original too, and this re-release probably, thankfully, passed me by. But Ernie Hudson's in it.
No,
yeah, found that out today.
Is
Ernie Hudson?
Is he the Dean Stockwell?
I don't know. And I was going to say, why am I mentioning Quantum Leap? Because of course, the class.
Why not?
Yeah.
This is great.
Dean Stockwell. Well, exactly. Any chance to talk about Quantum Leap? Is that Dean Stockwell's best known role? Do you think, or is he?
I think
more famous for something else.
I have seen him, in other things, but to me, it's Quantum Leap and it's Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Oh, see, my mind's instantly Blue Velvet. Because like him singing in dreams and stuff.
Yeah, I wonder why that didn't leap to my mind. Maybe because Blue Velvet's not in my favorite Lynch movies. That might be why.
But no, to me it would be I think I was introduced to him through Quantum Leap, and then just getting into Blue Velvet. So that would be my default thing of like, oh yeah, Blue Velvet. But then Quantum Leap would be very close second. Of the I think, and then I completely forgot he was in Galactica. Where he's just, by the end of it, he's like the main villain of Galactica as well. And I love that show.
And can I do? Who cares? Spoiler alert, people, for Battlestar Galactica. He's got the coolest death ever, I think, because he realizes he's screwed. They've the enemy have come aboard the ship. And he just pulls a gun and shoots himself right in the face. Bam! It's like 2 seconds. You're like, whoa!
That's of course, Neil there just starting the last season of Battlestar Galactica just yesterday for the first time.
No, I had the Blu-ray box set of Battlestar Galactica and paid quite a pretty penny for it.
Oh, nice.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but they're talking about rebooting it.
Oh, right. Okay, for a third time.
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah. I'd rather they just... I mean, I'm saying I'd rather they didn't, but it was technically a reboot anyway, so...
It was absolutely,
It was just, it was flat-out remake. Yeah. I was like, we're doing that again?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's like... It's loose, though. It's not really similar. It's like the basic elements are there.
Yeah.
One thing I really do like, though, because I have no real problem with Bonk bumping into the... I'm guessing it's near St. Patrick's Day, because they just got a plain green flag flying up there for some reason, but or maybe the Green Party is coming in. They're the major political force of Gotham. They took over all of England. Of course, now England is a wonderful utopia in this universe.
Of course, yeah.
And now they're spreading the good word to Gotham. But I love when again, because Bonk has that sort of thing of just going around being a big, tough lunkhead who just like thinks he's tougher and stronger and belittling everyone and stuff. That when he's put in a precarious situation of having to hang off that flagpole, the look of sheer terror, and he's like really, he starts really clutching to it, like he's like hugging his mother as like a little kid or something.
Right.
Like he's so terrified of falling. It's like I just like that. It's a little subtle character touch of just like, yeah, this big brazen obnoxious prick is still just like a little boy when he's actually put in a really dangerous position. So,
and it's a little cartoony, but that's okay because it's a cartoon.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. We're all being a bit nitpicky just for that because that's what we're here for.
Yeah,
original. But ultimately, it's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon. Yeah. It's all right.
The original cut was going to be Bonk walks off the ship and then doesn't notice that he's walking in midair until he looks down, and then he pauses. He takes out a little sign saying "Help," and then he falls down.
There is more in the way of bad dialogue as well.
Yeah.
Because the bad guys they steal whatever this technology is, we don't quite know yet. It's like a electronic sort of chip. They steal that, they scarp her, and then there's a big explosion, and we get the line, "That ain't coming out of my allowance."
Yeah.
Like, oh
boy.
See, I could forgive
but it fits the character. It does fit the character. It doesn't feel out of place or anything.
No, see, I would forgive that. But they do a really dynamic camera move. They like close in on him, like, "Here comes the zinger!" Like, "Oh, this is gonna be good," whatever he says. And then like, no, it's just real. As we see in the credits, coming from Paul Dini, he's like, "I expect better from you, man." But unless he might have been holding in the reins. He's like, because he might have been like, "Oh, he's a teenager. He's not like." He's Paul Dini knew the mistakes that Josh Whedon would go on to make. Where Josh Whedon just would write everybody the same, and they'd all be the wittiest characters in the universe. Mm-hmm. And so teenagers would make, as much as I love Buffy, people are coming out with cultural references there that like 16-year-olds just would not know.
You're right. You're
too
right.
much, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just like, I don't believe Xander would have seen, Agnes of God. I don't think he would actually make a reference to Agnes of God, Josh, but I know you've seen it as a 38-year-old man or whatever you were when you wrote that. But Paul Dini might have been like, "He's not going to come out with anything all that witty. Like he's 17 or whatever."
It's a kid.
So yeah,
talk about his pocket money.
Although that does open the question of like, is Terry getting paid to be Batman? Because we know his cover in the show is that he's working for Mr. Wayne.
He's his assistant.
But
his
like,
gopher.
At any point was there like so I gotta get paid for this, right? Like, what do you, and then Bruce Wayne, what would he be off? Bruce Wayne either would be like, yeah, just go and type into the computer whatever amount of money you want, and then that's fine, just take that. Or he could be like the Scrooge McDuckiest asshole in the universe.
I think Bruce is paying him because I think Bruce looks after the right people. and he's very generous with the right people. And so I'm pretty sure, Terry having lost his dad, Bruce will be taking care of him, making sure the family is looked after.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with.
I would say beat-ass Bruce Wayne would do that. But Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne, by the time they get there, he might be like, no, like you get paid $200 a week or whatever. And I was like, but that's barely enough to buy milk these days. You know the inflation, what's happened, Bruce?
Oh, I think he has to at least give him a decent wage, even if he's not actively just straight up giving the family money. It'd be like, well,
I kind of want to have like the out of touch. I want to make the Arrested Development meme with Bruce Wayne going like, "It's one banana, Terry. What could it cost? $10." Like standing with his martini glass in his hand. So. Yeah. But yeah, then of course this opens a thing where I always find in all future set films where there's flying cars, it's just that like, yeah, this is now just a nightmare for people, because like when you were up high in buildings, it meant that you couldn't have a car just crashing through your window. It was very unlikely that would happen. Although I guess actually it does happen at the start of Mask of the Phantasm. But now it's just like, yeah, there's just people driving around. You could be up 50 floors and some asshole could just drive in through your window. Like, it must be a nightmare.
Big problem.
Yeah. Is there any way we can stop it? Can you put up force fields or something? Like, nope. Everything's a death trap now. You literally can't get high enough to get away from this stuff anymore.
I've never understood flying cars in any of these things anyway. How would you police that?
Yeah, I think they probably could have developed the technology to make flying cars, and potentially they already have, and that's what UFOs are and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're just like, we can't give that to people. Like, people won't know how to take care of that. Like,
it'd be crazy. The roads are bad enough.
Yeah. This is
do you like Back to the Future Part 2, where there's there are lanes? There's
That's the only way it would work.
Yeah.
Only way, I think.
But I think even at that though, because at least on the road you do have like little barriers and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I guess like Back to the Future would be the closest one. But then think of like the Fifth Element and stuff as well.
They're just going everywhere.
But people, could just go, or like Attack of the. I think you mentioned last Chunk, John.
I did.
Attack of the Clones. It's just like, but it's not going to stop people from. If you have a high speed chase, you saw in like The Batman when it came out, just like that car chase with the Penguin, where Batman himself was responsible for about 55 deaths in that, just from reckless driving. And
accidental.
As long as he didn't mean it.
Yeah, that's still the most baffling part of that whole movie, is like they destroy half of Gotham in that car chase. They get the Penguin, ask him a few questions, and then just let him go. It's like, what the hell are you doing? But yeah, so we do get the opening zinger there, and then of course the Jokers do get away. It's a good thing you did point out, John, that they do just let the dish be trashed. Yes. But Chucko does get like a little microchip, but he takes out some circuitry that seems to be important.
It's actually interesting that when you find out, coming up what, you don't know what that thing did, but they clearly wanted the whole dish. But he was smart enough to be like, look, we're not getting away with this, so I'll get this important piece I know about from it. It like complicates the plot in an interesting way that they then need to go and get another part. It's
what he lacks in fashion sense, he makes up for it in, I don't know, goon sense. I guess.
I like his fashion, thank you very much.
Or so you think, We'll see. We'll see how valuable that thing is.
But then we get into we do get into the opening titles, and I have to say, like, because I'm enjoying the film very much so far, and I know that apparently, because everything, again, with this film was very rushed, because they were just told, go make a film. We want it out by this time. And apparently they were working on a much more detailed and involved opening title sequence, and then they just ran out of time. And they was like, yeah, whatever you were doing over there, just scrap that. Like, we're just going to do, white text on black background. And coming after, the opening of Mask of the Phantasm, I'd say actually literally every single Batman movie we've covered so far has had amazing opening titles. Like opening in '89, iconic. The sewer baby and Returns, great.
Nice.
Batman Forever is that symbol, and the word forever appearing just still gives me chills every time. Batman Robin, all the flaws of the movie, that opening title sequence is fantastic. And then Mask of the Phantasm was just like the the teeth shattering, Shirley Walker quarrel piece, and just like, the CGI, old school Gotham and stuff, and amazing stuff. And then now we've come to this, and it's like, I guess it's functional.
It doesn't help that the show has one of the coolest intros ever.
Yes.
Does it?
The music, it's so of the time. It dates it loads, but I mean that with love.
I have specifically made notes on the intro to the show instead because it deserves to be talked about. Like, I do know someone in a group chat I'm in was rewatching Batman Beyond, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't like that intro. I skip it every time." I'm like, "Whoa!" I had to really bite my tongue. Like, I was really like, "What are you talking about?" Because
and that person was Neil.
No, I'm not a skipper. I'm not a skipper.
Oh no.
I don't think I've ever once skipped an intro. Oh, no, wait, maybe... I was going to say maybe Game of Thrones, but you know what? No, because the music gets you pumped.
Although the House of the Dragon I did skip because I was a bit disappointed. It was like, it's just the Game of Thrones music again. Like,
yeah, it's basically the same as well.
And of course, as a Gilmore Girls fan, I have to say, like, the intro is the most skippable. It's just like terrible theme music. And just really does not. You have to always, when you're trying to sell the Gilmore Girls to people, you have to be like, don't pay attention to the intro because it will put you off the show. But then some people love it, so
I think maybe you grow to love it.
I never did. I've seen literally every episode. I always like will leap for the remote when that intro comes on. But no, so Beyond the Black in this, black, white on black. But of course, just briefly go through what's in the intro to the show because it's amazing. They kick in with all the techno industrial new metal theme of Batman Beyond, which is tragically not present in this film. We'll get to the guy who composed it in due time, but I like this little detail because if you go through, there's loads of little things. Like it's very late 90s. It's very like corn video.
Yes.
Like set the opening to Seven, that kind of like all fast,
like a rave in a club in Blade.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like you get flying in over the sea to Neo Gotham. I love that. Actually, you see there's a little an Asian character on one of the buildings, and I looked it up, and apparently it's the kanji symbol for fear.
Oh, nice.
Over the city. It's like, that's a nice touch to start on.
That's a nice touch.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so you go in, and then it cuts then to the hand with all the swirling coming out of it, and the eye in the center, which is a call to Spellbinder, the one of the villains they keep bringing back in it. And then, you get like flashes. You get all all the artwork is done by the amazing artist Darwin Cook. Tragically, the late great artist Darwin Cook. One of my favorite Batman artists, although a lot of his stuff is very Bruce Timmey, so maybe that's why I like it so much.
Yes, exactly.
He's just doing that.
Bruce Timmey, that sounds weird. I like it.
But I do have a Darwin Cook Batman figure staring at me right now. A Batman and Catwoman figure. Both the two of my favorites of all the figurines that I have.
Bat and Cat.
Yep.
Nice.
I know how much you hate that.
Bat and Cat, you really hate that. But and then so we get flashes of words like apathy, greed, corruption. Then it cuts to a shot of what looks like a CGI shot of Bruce Wayne, and for like the early 2000s or 1999, it was like whoa. And the word power comes up. Then you get a shot of Terry followed by Hope, and then it cuts to Batman atop of the thing, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm liking this. And then it does a thing that I just absolutely love, where it shows you the title Batman, and then they just do a simple little sound effect of going shit, and then just goes beyond. And I was like, oh, watched it a million times, and every time I'm like, ooh, I like that. That's a nice little button.
Yeah,
that you
it's
put
cool.
on there. And you get tearing through things like the Ace of Spades card getting shot, which is a reference to the Royal Flush Gang, recurring villains in it. There's a shot of Terry in the suit. It turns out he's got like claws in his gloves, very Catwoman-like, which I don't remember ever really coming up in the show, but it kind of alludes to the idea that like Terry would like, maybe Bruce has taken ideas from some of his previous foes, and he's like,
why not?
Worked in Selina's claws into my gloves now.
Yeah, nice.
Give him to the kid. So then of course you infamously flash then to the club. You get proper ravers out and about and stuff there. which is some of it's very ridiculous. You got a great shot of, it looks like Terry as a juvenile, because Terry starts off the show as like a juvenile delinquent, him kind of like skulking in the shadows in an alleyway, and a shadow goes over him, and then the other side comes out and he's Batman. And it's framed very like the classic image of Batman at the beginning of the BTAS, at the end when they go up, to the top of the building and the lightning strike behind them. It seems like it's a deliberate sort of nod back to that, but it's very quick, so it's very subtle as well.
That makes it even better, though, that it's quick, because it's just like, oh, blinking, you'll miss it.
And then, you get, like, flashes of words like courage, honor, justice. And there's another shot, then, of, which looks like CGI Bruce Wayne, and the camera dynamically pans into his face. And I remember even back in the day, being like, oh, that's such a cool shot. Like, how did they do that? A shot of Terry, then, 3D animated Terry, surrounded by Jokers, which again looks like that one Queens of the Stone Age video. It's all red and black, and then
thank God you said that one. It's the only video I know of this.
Yeah, but I can't remember. I'm sure people are screaming at their podcasters right now. But
is it No One Knows?
No, because that's the one that's actually like the Dave Grohl's in that video and stuff.
See, I can't remember their songs. Our regular guest, Gaz Flint would know.
Oh yeah, he'll be there. Like he is probably roaring it. He's smashing his guitar off the walls now. But to tie in though, all that 3D animation, not 3D animation at all. What it actually was is Bruce Timm talks very proudly, like, yeah, we're throwing that together, and somebody made like a toy of old Bruce Wayne. And so I just got out my handheld camera, like my handheld camcorder, and just on my kitchen table, just did some close-ups of it, and then it's like turned it around to my Lazy Susan, and then sent that in and said like put a filter over that, and now it looks like it's like a really well-composed CGI shot of like CGI animation, and everyone was really blown away by it. Wow. And then the same exact thing for that the shot of Terry, the 3D animated shot of Terry surrounded by the Jokers. He's like, yeah, I just got a Batman toy, and I put some stuff on it, and then just put that on my Lazy Susan, and then just spun it around and filmed that, and then sent it
Incredible.
I'm impressed that he's got a Lazy Susan.
Oh, well,
yeah. That's how you know you're classy. And
that's amazing.
You can't just go with the guy who co-created BTAS and expect him to be like getting up and walking around the table to hand you stuff.
Who's got a Lazy Susan? I'm blown away. I didn't realize you could have one yourself. Yeah. You had to go to a Chinese restaurant for that.
Although I think isn't there an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where they debate whether Lazy Susan's actually an appropriate term anymore? They think they're like, I don't think they have any evidence. They're just like, it seems like that would just be offensive now to someone for some reason. The Susans, the lazy people, I don't know, but and yeah, like, of course, at the end you just get the music builds, and you get that the shot of like the glowing green skull, which is an allusion to Blight, who was like the major villain of season 1, and then never reappears in the show after season 1. Although his echoes are even in this chunk, because when we get into like in the Batcave, when they're talking about like Bruce taking back over Wayne Enterprises. That is kind of like the capper of the whole Powers, right? Like Wayne Powers Enterprises, where Bruce's company had been taken over by Derek Powers, who was essentially the Green Goblin. Was this, industrial scientist guy who was secretly a supervillain and stuff like that, and becomes the major antagonist of season 1. And then of course, classic shot of Terry lifting his wings, and then just they just do a really dramatic kind of ending, and then you get a kind of, and then the title, whatever the title of the episode will come up, and absolutely amazing intro.
I loved it. I mean, I've only seen it a couple of times now, obviously, but I was just like, I can't wait to see that in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think it would be the same. I thought it was going to be like, let's
maybe
do
a tweaked version
spin on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make it cinematic.
Yeah.
Right. Make it even better because it's a movie. We've got some budget.
Yeah. The ironic thing is like I say, it's cinematic enough already. Like if you showed that just at the beginning of anything, I think that would get people. You show that in an IMAX cinema today, people will be like, "That's incredible."
No, I see what you mean. Absolutely.
Yeah, but of course,
I was a bit disappointed that we just get like names.
Yeah, and even too like the way that the title comes up, just like Batman Beyond. Return of the Joker.
Right.
Like it's just,
not even a fancy designed typeface.
Because it's slightly different, format, this mini season. I haven't written down facts about every name.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
No, I picked it through them.
Who have you picked?
Well, I mean, there was Dean Stockwell.
Yeah.
But to make everything connected somewhat, because we were always going on about this show. When I went through his credits, he is also a guest star of Jag.
Of course he is.
Right.
Of course he is.
We keep threatening the listeners that we're going to do our Jag podcast.
Yeah. Batman's Jag race incoming any day now. I would love, though, if it turned out that he was actually just playing his character from Quantum Leap, and it was actually a Jag Quantum Leap crossover where, like, Dr. Sam Beckett has jumped into one of the Jag characters.
Why not? I mean, he can jump anywhere, anytime.
Good. Yep.
The key to doing that would be to have, like, you don't tell the audience that. They just have, like, this character's acting really weird the whole episode. And then at the very end, you reveal that, no, that's Dr. Sam Beckett. And that's why this guy's now. That's why he keeps talking to someone who's not there in the corner.
Holy crap. That'd be the greatest thing that, like, television had ever pulled off.
So there's another Everything's Connected in the credits.
Oh, nice.
Oh, go for it.
So like you, John, I didn't do any research on. Well, I did some research on some of the actors, but not all of them.
You've got to pick and choose when it's this long.
So Terry Garr has been in loads of great stuff, including opposite Michael Keaton in 1983's Mr. Mom.
Oh, of course,
Whoa.
That's true.
Didn't even think about that.
There you go.
And she is, of course, in one of John's favorite films, Young Frankenstein.
Oh, Jesus
Which is you wouldn't be surprised to learn, Neil, that John has a frankly irrational hatred of Young Frankenstein.
Well, I think it ties into I've got a few irrational hatreds, right?
We all do.
We do. And I acknowledge that it's irrational. But number one, I don't really like Mel Brooks. Number two, I really hate Gene Wilder. So there's not a lot going for me with this movie, you know?
Yeah.
I always found Young Frankenstein overrated but enjoyable.
I don't really care for it.
Really?
The only good person in it's Marty Feldman.
Oh, Madeline Kahn. I'll never have a bad word said about Madeline Kahn.
Okay, I forgot she was in it, to be honest, because I've only watched it like twice.
It's in fact you watched it twice, so it's just like, I just wanted to make sure I hated it, right?
Well, yeah, I think so. To be honest, I think the second time might have just been someone had it on.
Yeah.
I wasn't really watching it. Kind of. Oh, no, I know what it was. I came back. I think me and the ex had been like at the pub or something, and we came back and it was on the telly. And I went on a rant about how crap it was. So we left it on for like 40 minutes for me to prove how bad it was.
And then we rewound it back to the start. Just to make sure that every point made.
No, so I'm not a big fan of that. But I like Terry Garr.
Did you see, of course, just last night, Neil? Keaton had a very memorable thing at the Oscars.
Oh, did he? No, I haven't seen anything on the Oscars.
Oh, it's great. Arnie and Danny DeVito are like co-hosting, one of the awards.
Right.
And they get over and they're like, people, Danny's just like, oh, people are probably wondering like why we were put together. And then Arnie's like, yes, we both tried to kill Batman. And then they just start going on about, like, they make a couple of little jokes and stuff. Arnie, at one point, actually goes, Batman, you son of a bitch. And it's like, it's a call out to the Batman and Robin musical, like from YouTube. The Batman, you son of a bitch. And then at one point, DeVito's just like, there he is. He's just there looking at us. And it cuts to Keaton in the crowd.
Nice.
And Keaton's just glaring at them, and he starts going like, "Come on, come here."
Nice.
And then Arnie's like, "Oh yeah, a piece of crap." It's a great little
Nice.
bit of
I'll check it out.
It's amazing. It is worth your time, honestly.
Although it feels like they held back though, because Keaton and DeVito, fine. George Clooney was bound to have been there.
Yeah, he should have come in.
Yeah, you think Arnie should have been like, that's not him, that's him.
Yeah, and then that would have been much better. Arnie would be like, who? This is not Batman. There's Batman over there.
They get like, it's too inside. Maybe people will lose track of the fact that like Clooney was specifically in Arnie's and all that kind of stuff. So.
Well, the name that came up that made me go like, this person's in it is Angie Harmon. Now, do you guys know who Angie Harmon is?
Right. I don't, but I looked her up because it turns out she's in something I also want to make a podcast about. She's in 44 episodes of Baywatch Nights.
She plays Ryan McBride, sidekick to Mitch Buchanan in the dreadful and ill-fated Baywatch Nights.
It's incredible. It's a marvel that was a TV show.
So I've recently done a full rewatch of Baywatch.
Yes!
And as a completionist, I couldn't do it without
people
watching.
sitting waiting for that friggin' Studio Ghibli podcast where they're like, oh, Neil's probably busy. What's he been doing? Watching friggin' Baywatch is what he's been doing.
I had to, because I had to do it properly, and I had to watch both seasons of Baywatch Nights. The first one is watchable. The second one is I don't know how I got through it, frankly. It's
the second one's the one
dreadful.
where they clearly just watch the X-Files,
Correct.
isn't it?
They changed the entire thing, the entire premise of the show, and it just goes full on X-Files, but really low budget, terrible X-Files. So it's really bad. It really is terrible.
That's why it's so good. It's amazing. Everyone needs to see it.
I quite like that. Like she is literally the only good thing in the entire show, both seasons. She's really good. She was cast because the Hoff, they were on the same flight together. And the Hoff obviously liked what he saw and asked her to be on the show. She'd never acted before. She was a model.
Seriously?
Imagine that from David Hasselhoff's point of view. Like, I'm about to launch a spin-off of one of the biggest programs out there. You know who my co-lead should be? This woman I met on a plane.
Well, you know.
It was a good decision because she was the best thing in it.
Yeah, you know, it's undoubtedly he was trying to get the leg over as well. Like,
1,000%. Yeah.
No,
and then ironically, he's like someone who's like a much more credible actor than him now. Really, like, he's like, yes.
She's good. She's great.
He's like, they never asked me to be Commissioner Gordon and anything. Like, why not me?
Do you want my other Everything's Connected? I've got another one.
Oh yeah,
because I saw Lauren Tom.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Which I didn't recognize the name, but I recognize what she does.
Oh yeah.
Amy from Futurama.
That's right. That is, yeah.
Oh, nice.
But what connects her to someone else in this? She's also in an episode of Quantum Leap.
Nice.
I was like, what? Hang on. What? Amy is in Quantum Leap.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh. Well, no, I think that Lauren Tom's one of those. Obviously, when she pops up later, we can talk more about her. But she's one of those voice actresses that's like, she's just very recognizable every time. Because she doesn't really do a range of voices. She's just very good at the voice that she does, you know. She's like Robert Costanzo, who played Bullock. Mm-hmm. You know, he just sounds like Bullock and everything. But you're like, oh, but it's a great voice, though. So you can't really mess around with that. So it's, but yeah, Lauren Tom's always, every time she pops up and things, you're like, oh, yeah, there's Amy. Like I can hear her right there.
She's Terry's girlfriend, Dana, right?
Yeah.
She plays who I've still got the hots for.
Oh.
Pretty cute, Dana.
Mm. Yeah,
Terry's done well.
But I mean, yeah, Dana's always a bit of a kind of always hoped more for her as a character because just never really did anything with her. But you know, she's always just sort of like, yeah, it's just the girlfriend that's there.
Just getting kidnapped and put in
that's
danger, and that's
either getting kidnapped or just been like, Terry, why can't you come over tonight?
Right.
Oh, we are so over. Oh, okay, I'll take you back. It's just that over and over again. It's like, turn her into like the Question or someone. Like, just do something with her. But
Question.
And then of course I couldn't end the show but without mentioning Frank Welker.
Oh, of course, yeah.
The voice of Stripe. The Gremlin and Megatron, my old favorite, and about 1,000 others. Literally like 1,000.
Literally like 15 billion things. Like
so many credits on. If you look him up on IMDb, guys, it's almost like 1,000 voice actor credits.
Nuts. Like I thought Tara Strong was going to have a big. Have the biggest resume here until I saw the other names.
Yeah. I think Frank Welker, he's the most profitable actor alive, isn't he? Because all the things he's been in.
Right.
I think it was for a while. It was John Ratzenberger because he was in all the Pixar things, and then I think like after a couple of years, Frank Welker just by being like, yeah, he's Abu in Aladdin, and he's like a random, squawking eagle in like, Forrest Gump or something. Like
raking it in.
Yep.
he was just, if you just add up all the things, it's like, he's the most profitable actor alive because he's in everything. So he can't not be, really. The only everything's connected I've got is a little callback to something we were talking about earlier there. In Henry Rollins again, because as we mentioned there, John, he is of course in Jack Frost, the Michael Keaton film, and he in that movie. People can listen to our episode about it. That was our most recent Christmas episode. Was me, John, and Liz Whitaker talking about Jack Frost. Which
I, for some reason, absolutely loved the movie.
Yeah, it was like an actual life-changing moment for John was watching Jack Frost, and a kind of experience I still really want to get to the bottom of. Like, what happened between you and your father that this film meant so much to you?
How many times did I watch it in that week again? 3 times in a week?
Something like that, yeah.
Nice.
So you hear me and Liz sitting down like the rip into Jack Frost, and then John's like in the verge of tears talking about how beautiful the whole thing is. It was weird.
That's why you come to this podcast, for all the nuance and the different takes.
No, but in Jack Frost, I pointed out at the time, I wouldn't have noticed it if not for Liz. But Henry Rollins' character is like the hockey coach, but you find out he's the father of a kid that's there, and I was like, I really recognize that kid from something. And turned out, I looked him up, he was the voice of T.J. Detweiler in Recess. I'm like, but why do I know his face? And Liz was like, oh, he's Andrew Lawrence. He's part of like the Lawrence family dynasty, the dynasty of actors. His whole family is really famous and stuff, so you probably have seen him around. Not only have I probably seen him around, I've definitely seen his brother around, Joey Lawrence, because he stars in the hit show Melissa and Joey, which co-stars Melissa Joan Hart. So that's her big thing, is just making a show with Joey Lawrence. So Joey Lawrence's brother played Henry Rollins' son, and now Henry Rollins and Melissa Joan Hart are both Jokers in this very film. So
I'll trust you to get the best one.
Yeah, everything's connected.
That is boss. Everything's connected. Hell yeah. The fact that Melissa Joan Hart is in this as well, by the way, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Again?
Oh, it's a
So what do you guys know her best from?
Oh, just the classics, like Clarissa Explains It All,
Right.
and Sabrina. Yeah.
Okay, then two.
I mean, I watched both of those, but to me, it's Clarissa.
It's Clarissa Explains It All, right?
Ah,
Yeah.
see,
I think maybe because I have a sister 5 years older than me, so she was the perfect age to be into Clarissa, so I would always see it with her.
See, I was much more Sabrina, but of course I watched Clarissa, of course, but yeah.
One thing that happens in Clarissa Explains It All is that her friend always climbs in to her bedroom through the window.
I am.
Her friend.
And,
Hey, Sam.
and that,
Yes, the little guitar. Yeah.
but that is a thing in America, right?
Yeah.
Friends climbing through your bedroom window must have just happened all the time to everyone.
Yeah. It seems like you just accept it in films, and like I think in Scream, like the second scene after the opening murder of Drew Barrymore is like Skeet Ulrich coming in through Neve Campbell. It's just like, yep, that's just what boyfriends do. They just
Climbing up
sneak
a
in through the window.
trellis.
Yeah.
I once exited my room through the window because I was grounded and I wanted to go out, so I just shimmied down the walls and stuff.
It's because I was grounded, and so my dad threw me out the window. Now we're getting to the bottom of this Jack Frost thing.
No, my dad died and then turned into a snowman.
But if you dads in here's a tip for the dads in American TV shows and movies: take the trellis down. Don't make it easy for the kid across the street to climb up your daughter into your daughter's window.
It seems to happen in a weird amount of TV and film.
It does.
The old cliched like 90s like sitcom families. If the dad tried to take down the trellis, then his wife would complain about him ruining her good, Ivy or whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, but you just need like a John Ritter in there to be like." Ah.
And he's like, he has to explain to his wife, like, I'm trying to stop the neighborhood boy from impregnating our daughter.
Well, but she'll just go, "Oh, you," and go back to baking cookies, because that's what old wives did in the 90s. Well, the dad was either reading the newspaper or getting angry about his daughter's potential boyfriends. Well, but although speaking of Baywatch Nights, though, I do have to say, and that after we spent so much time last season talking about the amazing work that Shirley Walker was doing, we actually have a new composer in this movie. It's not Shirley doing the Judas. I always thought that it was Shirley Walker. It was all over Batman Beyond. It's like, no, she was designating stuff to other people. And we get, of course, the X-Files' own Chris Carter came in to do the... No, right. Guy called Christopher Carter.
It's not.
No, same guy.
Must be.
But I genuinely think he might have, like, he probably was Chris Carter with a C until he was just like, he was, I'm getting somewhere in Hollywood. And then it's like, what can I do? Like, I gotta change it to Christopher. Still not good enough. K? Like a K at the front? It's like, but you wanted the K at but then you can't go KK because then you're so close to KKK. It's like, all right, so KC. I go, all right, that's fine. Gotta
be careful.
Or the crusty comedy classic.
Yeah. But then, his music is not bad by any means. He's actually, and again, he did the opening theme to Batman Beyond as well, like, which is incredible. Apparently, it was just lifted from a demo he did of, like, just to show the kind of industrial techno stuff he did. You had a demo called "Smells Like Cream Spinach," nice. And someone heard that and they were like, "That's it. That's the theme to Batman Beyond now." And they're like, "All right, there we go." But
sounds like a Weird Al song, doesn't it?
It 100% does. Yeah, Weird Al found that out. I was like, "Oh God, damn it!" Weird Al probably did a "Smells Like Teen Spirit" spoof, right? Like, that wouldn't have got past him. Like,
he does. What's it called? Hang on.
Bit of Googling.
Oh, it's literally just called "Smells Like Nirvana."
Smells like Nirvana. Nice.
But it's all like the joke is that you can't understand what you're singing and stuff because the lyrics are like, "What is this song all about? Can't figure any lyrics out. How do the words to it go? I wish you'd tell me. I don't know. Don't know.
Nice.
Yeah. Now I'm mumbling and I'm screaming. I don't know what I am singing."
Nice. Classic.
But Christopher Carter comes in here. His tenure and how he got into, not to go we'll talk about him more throughout the movie and stuff. But like, he got off to a great start at a really young age, where at the age of 20, he wrote a piece called "A Titan's Epitaph," which ended up winning him the 1992 UNT Concerto Aria competition. And afterwards, everyone was just like, "This guy's incredible. This kid is incredible. He's 20. Let's, start giving him stuff to do." And apparently, when he was sitting at home, he'd be watching BTAS, going, "Oh, that would be just the best thing ever to work on. Look at all the stuff they get to do." Because, of course, Batman, the animated series, had completely new original score every episode, done ostensibly by Shirley Walker. But he was going to university at the time with Shirley Walker's son, it turned out. And so he had a little in there. And one of Shirley Walker's big things was that she came to Warner Brothers, was like, "I want to start hiring young, new composers, untested guys, like untested people. I want to make this show like a breeding ground for like young orchestral talent." And they're like, again, the amount of stuff they got away with on Batman the Animated Series, Warner Brothers were like, "Yeah, do whatever you want. Yeah, go ahead." And so, she snapped up Christopher Carter, and he started writing music for Batman the Animated Series. His first episode was Lockup, which was a great episode. Again,
I think that's a great move. I think like this needs to have fresh people working on it. That's because it fits the vibe and the story and the tone and everything.
Oh, totally. Again, though, Lockup being one of the episodes where you see Bruce Wayne at his most compassionate in that as well, which is so weird that he'd go on to do the music for Batman Beyond, where he is at his least compassionate. So he springs forth from there. He worked on a couple of things. Fear, the Marky Mark movie. He did the music for that. Mystery Men he worked on as well.
Yes.
And one of his first things was a movie called Lethal Seduction.
Nice.
Which, looking at IMDb, I was like, "Oh, that just looks like a porn," but like, it could be.
It's an erotic thriller, Niall.
And then I was like, maybe they're probably trying to riff on like The Last Seduction with Linda Fiorentino or something like that. Look into it. And as soon as you get in there, it's like from the director of Bikini Detectives.
Nice.
Comes
also an erotic thriller
starring Shannon Tweed.
Exactly. I think it is. I can't remember what her name was, but it was like, yes, Penthouse Playmate of the Year or something, and Joe Estefes or something like that. But yeah, it was very much like a. It was a porn. And I think, quite frankly, that tracks in this music because all the kind of It sounds very Baywatch Nights-ish to me. It sounds very early 90s porn to me. It's very, very dated music, which is so weird because, like, it's supposed to be in the far future, and then all the BTAS music was just so timeless. And then now we got this, and it's like, I like it. I like it as a piece of music, but it's very, very 90s TV to me, that sound. That wah-wah pedal guitar, and just sort of noodling around on the guitar for a while. And, yeah, if you're just doing, like, a in the back, like, yeah, you can turn that into porn music instantaneously.
Well, you got to start somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No shame in that.
No matter what people's opinions are on porn, it's always got some banging tunes.
It must have been weird, though, coming in, like, him auditioning for, like, you know, Lethal Seduction from the director of Bikini Detectives. And it's like, have you got any cred, kid? It's like, well, I won the 1992 UNT Concerto Aria competition. Like, yeah, you'll do.
But how many AVN awards have you got?
I was like, oh, the other guy's busted a synth hand. You can do it. But yeah, so that's Christopher Crowe. But that's
nice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. I mean, we need to at least mention the director.
Oh, of course,
well.
yeah.
I mean, I've got a few other names as well, but we can't forget him. I'm going to mispronounce it, I'm sure. Is it Gida or Gada?
I've been saying Gida, but I have no basis on that. I've only read it, so
exactly the same. So I've been saying Gida, but I don't know if that's right, so I apologize. But he directed like loads of stuff in this wheelhouse, didn't he? It sort of blew my mind the amount, like loads of Superman episodes. Did like loads of other little Batman things like Mystery of the Batwoman. He did Chase Me, Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, and most recently something called Vixen the Movie, which is not an erotic thriller.
Sounds like one.
Yeah. I do have to say from our time talking about Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, our Halloween special just there last year, where Rob really sold me on Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. And the thing I've got going at the minute, Neil, is that I'm doing like I'm doing Saturday morning cartoons again. So every Saturday morning I'll put on a range of cartoons that I kind of just want to get involved with. So
nice.
I'm going through all of Gargoyles. So I'm midway through that.
Oh, just to finish that.
Oh, really?
Because I'm doing exactly the same and just started watching cartoons again on a Saturday morning.
Oh, there we go.
Did all the Gargoyles.
And also we'll say too, because we have a lot of Gargoyles were made by like the people who were involved with BTAS as well. And of course, I noticed that Xanatos' right hand
and Star Trek: The Next Generation. Weirdly,
yeah, I think they just got stuck in a rut with that. I was like, oh, we cast we cast Frakes as Xanatos, and then who Demona? Just get in Deanna Troi.
Who's that chicken that he copped off with in Star Trek?
Yeah.
Just get her.
Like we need another gargoyle. Worf, you come on.
The gargoyle. Data's in it. Data's plays Puck.
Of course, that's right. Yeah.
Amazing.
There's more. LeVar Burton's in it. I forget who he plays. Trying to think who else. There are more. There's loads of them. I think Colm Meaney's in it as well.
I just found out over this past weekend. One of our frequent guests of the show. I just mentioned Colm Meaney to her, and she's like, Colm Meaney? I was like, yeah. And she's like, I had sex with his daughter, you know.
What? I thought you were going to say with him. I was a bit more excited.
But she's just like, yeah, me and, yeah.
Wow.
It's like she was doing a play in New York with Colm Meaney's daughter, and she's like, yeah, we had a thing. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's
good. Goodness me.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised you kept that information secret this long. But where was I? I got derailed by myself.
Gargoyles. You watching cartoons?
But yeah, of course, the lead villain being Xanatos.
Yeah.
And his like right hand man is called Burnett. And of course, I believe he's named after Alan Burnett, who's one of the co-writers of this very movie.
All right, nice.
Yeah, because they did little things like I believe Dana in Terry's Girlfriend is named after Dana Delaney. And then because Andrea Beaumont in Mask of the Phantasm, who was played by Dana Delaney, was named after Andrea Romano, who's one of the credits that pops up here as well as the voice director. So, all little in jokes and stuff amongst themselves.
Love it.
Yeah,
they love it, don't they?
One thing that really struck my eye with Kurt Gida is that like the second thing he ever worked on was a thing called Gravedale High. And I'd never heard of this until this past weekend when I was talking to one of the writers of our theme tune, Ash. And he randomly brought up, like, we were talking about something or other, and he's like, oh, yeah, like that Rick Moranis cartoon. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, Rick, in the 80s, Rick Moranis did a cartoon. It was about, like, a horror high school or something. And I was like, oh, that's weird. He's like, yeah, the guy in it just looked like him and stuff. I was like, oh, I'd never heard of this. Looking into it, Gravedale High is that show. Like, its actual title is Rick Moranis in Gravedale High. And it not only is the star Rick Moranis as Rick Moranis, like he's not playing literally himself, but if you look at it, if you look up a picture of it, his character is just him. It just looks exactly like, height of the 80s Rick Moranis. It was made just after Little Shop came out. They were banking on him being in it. And he's like the normal teacher at a high school where like everyone's like mummies and zombies and vampires, and the vampires are like greasers and their leather jackets turn into wings and stuff like that. And not only does it have Rick Moranis in it, it's got Kimmy Robertson from Lucy from Twin Peaks is in there.
Nice.
And it's got Ricky Lake is in there as well, which is an unusual one of those like
incredible.
Yeah, post Hairspray Ricky Lake, which is like forever riffing on. Ricky should be just in the absolute lamest gutter by now, just in terms of like, oh, Ricky Lake, come on. But for her affiliations with John Waters will make her cool forever. I think
that's what does it. Yeah,
she could be in the worst thing ever. But potentially Gravedale High is. I don't know. I never saw it. I looked up the opening titles. Rick Moranis sings in them.
Oh yeah, because he is a singer, isn't he? I forgot he had that little music career as well.
He is not good at singing in the opening titles to Gravedale High, but that was the.
How dare you besmirch his name?
That's what really took me about the career of Kurt Gita. I was just like, just randomly found out about the show at the weekend, and then here it is. It's right falling right into my lap again. And of course, like all these things that nobody cares about anymore, the entire show is on YouTube. So if you wish to go and watch Gravedale High, it's at that right there for you.
I think I do. I'm intrigued.
The only credit before we move back into like the little chunk that we have left. The only credit I wanted to bring up, just specifically because you're here, Neil, I'll give you a little chance to do some plugging, as we see animation director Toshiko Masuda.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And he worked on such things as Ulysses 31.
Great stuff.
Inspector Gadget.
Great.
A thing called Galaxy High School, which sounds exactly like
remember that
Gravedale High, only it's aliens. And apparently it was created by Chris Columbus. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. But also he was the animation director on Akira.
Nice.
Which was me and Neil appeared together on Akira Minute.
We did.
Way back when. And he was also the key animator on Howl's Moving Castle.
Nice.
So I believe you might know a thing or two about that film, Neil, if you want to throw in any plugs there.
That's one of the best movies as well, the best Ghibli movies, I think. You're not a fan? Top tier to me, top tier.
It's probably in my top 10.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Well, there's only like 23 of them or something, so
only 23. So it's still placing well.
Top half. But it is one of the sort of better known ones. But because it's proper sort of peak Miyazaki career, right? It's in that middle section where he was just knocking out belters. But I actually, having gone through them all in sort of detail for a new podcast that I've got, guys, is it has been really, really interesting to go back to some of the sort of lesser known ones, and actually some of the Takahata ones I've just fallen in love with, like only yesterday, and just.
But you only fell in love with it yesterday. Is that what
one? So I found that my tastes have sort of changed a little bit having done it. But the podcast is as the guys alluded to, we started recording this a couple of years ago, and we've sort of finally finished it. It's not a movies by minutes podcast. We just do one episode per movie, and we just do it in release order. We don't do the 2 TV movies, mainly because I didn't want to do that new Goro Miyazaki CGI one. So we just didn't do the TV ones. So we don't do Ocean Waves.
They can be your bonus episodes later once you're famous. We started releasing them a couple of weeks ago, and sort of started 2024, and you can go find it. It's called Science and Magic: The Films of Studio Ghibli.
We have a couple of guests on. I know me and John are both done. I was on for Porco Rosso.
Yep.
And John was on for...
Ponyo,
the one I really hate. So
what? Oh, right. We're going
boy.
to fight about this off air. We're going to fight about this.
Boy.
How dare... Jesus Christ.
I think I definitely prefer Ponyo to Howl's Moving Castle, for example.
I
There you
do,
go.
but only just.
Only just.
But Ponyo's perfection. This guy as well, I thought you would like him, Niall, because he designed the character Mr. Director for Animaniacs.
Oh, nice.
And I know you're an Animaniacs nut.
Yeah. A big fan of Animaniacs. And then again, from last season, getting back into it because we have to talk about Animaniacs so much because everybody in this involved with BTAS was involved with Tiny Toon Adventures and Animaniacs. And then since I started rewatching Freakazoid, and I'm really kicking myself because we had Dan Reba on, one of the animators from the animated series, and he like absolutely I've been bowled over by how good Freakazoid is, and every other episode is directed by Dan Reba. I was like, God damn it! If I'd known then how good it was, I would have spent like an hour talking to him about Freakazoid instead. But no, maybe later in the season we can lure him back, you know. But I don't know if you ever got into the Freakazoid stuff.
I don't think I know that one.
It was from the same. It was an ill-fated, project from the same people who did Animaniacs, and Freakazoid was he was just a teenager who got sucked into the internet and he got superpowers that way.
All right,
and it's bonkers. Like it's the craziest show. It's kind of like Monty Python's Flying Circus, just with like a superhero main character.
Okay.
And he just it's Deadpool before Deadpool. He's just talking to the audience the whole time. And all the humor is scattershot insanity. And it's just like, nice. I think I remember not really liking it as a kid because I couldn't really get a grip on it. And now as an adult, I'm like, oh, it's amazing. But like, it's not really aimed at anybody beyond themselves. It's just these guys having fun making a crazy show.
Which other ones have you been doing on your Saturday mornings?
I've been going through again Powerpuff Girls, like the old Powerpuff Girls, which is just classic. Samurai Jack. I've been going through all.
I thought you were going to say Samurai Pizza Cats. I was going to be interested there.
No. Well, add that to the list. Add that to the list.
It's a must.
Well, I'll tell you what you can add to your list because I was going to mention it earlier. Is the other sort of early to mid 90s. This was late 90s Batman Beyond. Early to mid 90s, there was another sort of superhero but set in the future series, and that was Phantom 2040.
Oh, of course, yes. Yeah.
And it was one of my favorites from back in the day, again because of the sort of Japanese anime animation style that is adopted in that particular cartoon. It's very sort of cowboy bebop-y, like sort of like thin, wiry characters, all sort of elongated and scrawny. But the sort of future feel is just like Batman Beyond. It really reminded me when I started watching Batman Beyond again for sort of last week. It really sort of brought back Phantom 2040 for me. Just not in every way, but just in the sort of futurescape that you see, the way that they've sort of constructed the city. That one, Phantom 2040 takes a different direction a little bit because it has that futurescape, but it has the sort of organic sort of wild coming into the city. This doesn't have that. It's just a clean sort of future city. But yeah, it just reminded me of that show. So that's going back on my list for a rewatch as well.
Oh, that's right. It's flat out. It is the Phantom. It's like the Billy Zane Phantom.
It's the 29th Phantom, I think.
Oh.
And it's set in 2040, hence the title of the show. Whereas I think Batman Beyond starts in 2039.
Yeah.
When the series starts.
Of course, then actually quickly Googling it and just seeing like starring Mark Hamill. I was like, of course. Can't get away from this asshole.
Now we're sick of him. But that's definitely a recommend for the listeners.
Yeah. That's like I think it was one of the ones I probably did see at the time. But I was thinking of like Danny Phantom or something when you were talking about it. And I was like, oh, look this up. And it's like, oh, Christ, it is the Phantom. Okay. Oh, yeah. I'll look into that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, also the one, I don't know if it's to the Saturday morning kind of thing, because it's more of like a late Friday night kind of show, but like, I used to always really want to see Aeon Flux back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And never had access to it, but now I'm just like, I got access to everything, baby. It's all on the internet. So I must look at, because that's, again, another very late 90s.
Yep, future set, sort of like, maybe it was just the millennium. That's what everyone was just into, like, the future. It's now. It's happening. Because obviously the Matrix and all stuff is coming out as well, but those things predate the Matrix as well. So it also has that sort of long, wiry character sort of style about it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's kind of a weird aesthetic.
But speaking of weird aesthetic, though, because we do go into the actual movie proper, and we get deep within the dark depths of the Batcave, a Batarang flying around. And then we go over to Madame Tussauds is in the corner over here, where the Batarang slices through the head of Two-Face. There,
It does, yeah.
And
they should have split it in two.
Oh, that would have been better, wouldn't
it? Right down the middle.
I thought, because I know you can buy the script, but it's hard to track down the script online. I wonder if Paul Dini did specify it was supposed to go through his face. And then they're like, no, that's too much.
Too much.
You can behead him. You just can't do that.
It's like beheading's cleaner. Like, if it goes through the head. But it is also weird, though. Like, why does Bruce have these? Like, it's like, I hated these people so much. Yeah. Like, I just gotta...
Well, I think he misses it, doesn't he? Because he's, at this point, all of his old arch enemies he's put them all either in the grave or in the asylum or in jail or whatever.
Yeah.
I think you're right. He misses it. And well, speaking of the grave, he looks like he's about to end up in the grave. He looks like he's nearly dead.
Yeah.
They really do. Like, usually in these sort of things, they don't make the character look that aged. This Bruce, you're like, oh, okay, he's like physically all right. Like, he's got a bit of muscle still, but oh, God, his eyes.
I mean, we were talking there earlier about like, doing Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton, and there's all rumors that in the Batgirl movie, that's essentially he would have been doing that. Like, Batgirl would have been...
Not old enough.
Ostensibly Terry McGinnis, but the thing is, though, did you watch The Flash, Neil? Did you bother going out to see it? I
did. Yep.
Did you?
Yep.
What did you make of it?
Thought it was all right. I think it's. It was a bit sort of jumbled up. I think it. But that's the nature of that particular storyline of The Flash, right?
It's actually nice to hear, because me and John we came straight out of cinema, straight in front of a microphone before any of the hoopla started, and we were both really positive about it. And then the next day, it was like, oh Christ, people hate this film.
Yeah, it did get a lot of hate. I thought it was all right. I think the best thing about it was Michael Keaton, frankly.
Weirdly, he was my least favorite bit about it.
Yeah, really?
And not his fault. More that the character I was like, that's not Batman 89.
And that they're doing stuff in that, like, if you're going to do an older Batman, do it like this. But they were having him like CGI jumping around like he was a monkey and stuff. And I was like, Keaton in his prime wasn't like that. That doesn't make any sense.
I like the gruff. I like the old, retired Bruce Wayne. It's gone a bit nuts and.
It's cool, isn't it? I wasn't sure what to expect.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a bit lame. Like, oh, okay, he's just going to be exactly the same, but he's Alfred. Yeah. And it's like, oh no, like, they've thought about it and they've put some effort into this.
Yeah, I liked it.
Do we think though, in the interim years, Bruce took up sculpting? And it was him who made these? Like,
it would have to be, because he couldn't send off for them. It would look suspicious, right?
It would be weird to send a life-size replica of Killer Croc to Bruce Wayne's house. Like, what does he want that for?
Something strange going on there.
I think it was party.
He's making like a what's that London? Is it the London Dungeon where they've got all the different like models of evil stuff?
Oh yeah, that sounds right. I've not been there in years.
Yeah.
Or, maybe that was his excuse. Like, well, I'm creating this horror attraction.
Or he's planning like a Kevin McAllister thing for when he's out of town. He's going to have them rigged up to look like they're dancing in front of his windows. So any burglars think that there's somebody in.
You can get the dog involved as well. The dog could be dancing on its hind legs.
The Riddler's a bit weird, though, isn't he? Because he's in like a white suit.
Yeah, I think it's just it's the lighting of the cave, but this is the terrible redesign they did for the Riddler, because obviously between BTAS and the new Batman Adventures, they like to simplify the animation to make it more streamlined.
Right.
Because BTAS was so involved. They redesigned a lot of stuff. So you got, of course, classically that Joker with the weird black eyes and stuff. And yeah, the Riddler was always my least favorite because he looked cool in BTAS. And I guess maybe their thinking was like, make it a bit more Jim Carrey-ish. And also, we've got a lot of guys in suits and ties. So put them in the leotard.
Yeah.
And I just think it looks a bit lame. I'm not a big fan of that design, quite frankly. But
I don't mind it. I don't love it, but I don't mind it.
Just
Although
green,
you mentioned in the...
Just
well,
that's the classic colour. Classic Riddler colour, isn't it?
Well, if it is the lighting, like you suggested that, it very well could be, because I found it interesting. You know, Bruce does all that. He says he's still got it. And then Terry arrives back. And as soon as he walks up to Bruce, I'm like, hang on, why is the bat symbol on his chest now pink?
Oh, I love the pink. I think it looks great.
But it looks great, but it wasn't pink before. So it must be the lighting.
No, I'm sure it's just the lighting. It's just like Bruce isn't. He's not in the form for warm coloring down there. Like he's just like, you know.
Well, I was praising the red on Batman last week. I now want him to be pink. I think the pink's cool.
Pink's great. Yeah.
I think there's some. I think one of the versions. I think Cassie Kane Batgirl was like all black with maybe I'm misremembering it as like it's yellow or something. But I feel she was black and pink. But
I'm into it.
Yeah. But no, the everything does look pretty cool in here. I did also note as well, because I was just like, it's a thing I might bring up throughout the show is just like the fates of some other villains, because we find out what happened to the Joker very definitively in this movie. But a lot of the other guys are just like, yeah, they just left that, and we never go into what happened to Killer Croc. Or I do note that. So I was thinking like, oh, the big one there is Two-Face. Like, you know, Bruce Wayne, he seemed to be deliberately aiming for, you know, his old friend Harvey Dent there, which is kind of like almost an allusion to like things didn't end well. The fact that he still has an old model of Two-Face hanging about and that he's actually like aiming for it is pretty like, I guess Harvey didn't turn out okay. But actually within the DCAU continuity, the last time we would have seen Two-Face is in the episode Judgment Day. Which you might remember, Neil, because it's about a new vigilante appears in Gotham called the Judge, and his whole deal is that he's just going out and killing criminals. Like he tries to kill Killer Croc, he tries to kill the Riddler, and he also tries to kill Two-Face. And there's a politician guy who was all like, "Yeah, I'm on the side of the Judge, and I'm using him to get ahead in the polls because everyone loves this guy because he's actually doing stuff about the criminals and stuff." And it was revealed at the end that the Judge was in fact Harvey Dent. It was Harvey's mind had fractured again because he was so guilty about being Two-Face, he came up with a third personality.
Nice. That
was actually going out and taking like definitively like doling out justice, that kind of thing. And the last you ever see of DCAU Two-Face in continuity is Harvey in a straitjacket in Arkham Asylum, going like, the Judge voice echoing in his head, going like, "I pass sentence. What is the sentence?" And Two-Face going, "Guilty, guilty, guilty," like talking about himself because he tried to kill himself. He judges himself as being another criminal. And so apparently a lot of the fan theory out there is just like, things wouldn't have gone well in this world. Nothing ever did in the BTAS world. Everything was always tragic. So there's a good chance that like it ended up either Harvey, like Two-Face might have broken out again, and he would always have been at war with this third personality, and he probably ended up killing himself because, you know, passing judgment on Two-Face or whatever. There's some fans out there who have a whole thing where they want it, like, people have done artwork of like, no, he gets reformed and he has surgery and he becomes like mayor of Gotham, and there's like a guy did the thing of like old man Harvey Dent in a wheelchair looking cool and stuff. But I think it's much more likely they would have gone the route of like, had that show continued, you would have had more of the Judge.
Keep bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he would have been just like, yeah, he probably would have ended up, you know, destroying himself somehow because, or either then his personalities would have kept fracturing, and then he just would have just descended into complete insanity, like complete gibberish or
and
something.
He'd turn into Billy D. Williams. Eventually. That's the final evolution.
That may explain why. It's like, yeah, he turns from Billy D. Williams and then into Tommy Lee Jones. It's like, that's how good he is at switching personalities.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, that seems to be the closest people are going to like. Yeah, that's where they left us. But yeah, I'll try to look into some of the other villains because you do see a lot of their memorabilia about the Batcave. So as the season goes on, I'll try to figure out what happened to some of these people.
Yeah, I like this challenge.
Yeah. But yeah, Terry comes in. I have to get my head around this. This is the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Like I keep wanting to call it like the Bat Jet or whatever, but it's like no, it's flying cars. So this flying car is the Batmobile.
Beautiful.
Like,
they fly now.
They fly now.
Got to be one of the best Batmobiles, surely. It's a beautiful thing.
I'm fairly indifferent to it, but I'm happy that you're so happy about it.
No, it looks great.
I'm into it. I think it's really cool. It's not too over the top, considering it's a flying car.
Yeah. It's I'm okay because it's no Batman Forever mobile, of course. It's nothing else, but.
We all know it's better than that.
Doesn't have a wobbly fin on the top, that's for sure.
It needs more plastic attachment.
Yeah. But it's got spiky and punky, and it's got those two big grills at the front, the two big sort of wheel arches. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm the same as you though. Now every time I go to sort of write a note about it, I have to stop myself putting like Batwing or something.
He's assuming it's a flying Batman thing, so it's like, it's the Batjet or the Batwing. It's like, no, this is the Batmobile. Like, no.
Yeah.
I will give it's better than when they did the redesign for the new Batman Adventures. They changed that. I was never all that fussed by the BTAS Batmobile, but when they changed it in the redesign, it was just a real lump of nothing.
You just really hate the new Batman Adventures.
Just the episodes are great. It's just like the actual design of some of the stuff's like, what were you thinking? But with this though, it's definitely better looking than that. It's a bit more of an actual design too. It's like a proper cool.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Time and effort went into making that and stuff. And yeah, so we get also briefly we'll talk about him more later. But Ace the Bat Hound is of course there.
Yeah. Voiced by Frank Welker.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yes, the legendary Frank Welker. Anything that's an animal in anything, it's probably him.
Just get him to do it. He can do it all.
Why get anyone else?
Yeah. And he's not got any sinus trouble like Stripe did, of course, in
no blowing his nose on the curtains.
You mentioning the dog, like introducing him as a character. It then sort of makes me think that we do see another character, the company's operations manager.
Yeah.
Jordan Price.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right now, he instantly, he's a jerk. Instantly.
Absolutely.
Because he's very clearly annoyed by Bruce's new plan, because he's planning to come back to the company, take the reins once more. That's what the news report says. And you can tell he's annoyed about it.
Yeah.
But he's pretending to be nice, kind of.
It's all
pretty passive-aggressive.
Yeah, the whole thing like, that'll be a challenge even for a young man. I hope.
And he calls him a senior resource.
Yeah,
nice.
It's this character is of course. I believe we said last season we talked about in the what do you call the show? Like a pup named Scooby Doo. They used to have a recurring joke about like Fred was always convinced that the villain was a kid in the class whose name was Red Herring. And he's always like, it's that red herring. I know it's him. And this guy is so just like, oh, come on. Like, what the hell is this? Like, at least Carl Beaumont in Mask of the Phantasm was a good mislead. Like, it was a real, like, you watched that. You're convinced. Most of our guests who hadn't seen the film before were convinced, like, I thought it was him up until the end.
Yeah. Although I thought with this guy, maybe I'm a sucker, I thought he's going to join the villain's plot.
But did you not recognize though immediately that he's even voiced by Mark Hamill? Like he's not even trying to hide it. It's just like by all means this guy's gonna be the Joker, right? And you're like, what kind of an idiot do you take me for?
Yeah, see, I never ever thought that. Even despite the voice thing, I never thought that. I thought he would join him. Because that would make sense. Like maybe he joins him because somehow he finds out about Bruce Wayne and Batman. Oh, I've got to take this guy down.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I don't know whether we should ask people like were you? I suppose maybe you probably won't remember the first time you saw it, Neil. But do you remember being shocked at the reveal of who the Joker was, or like John when you were watching it, were you like, whoa, it was him the whole time? Or?
I think so, because I think it was just such an interesting twist, and I guess we weren't maybe we won't spoil it, but yeah, it's a great twist, and it comes out. It does come out the blue a bit.
Yeah.
I think they spring it on you quite nicely.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense though. It doesn't. It's not out of the blue in the sense that you're like, oh, that's dumb.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course, yeah. Mark Hamill, for once, like, I don't think he's even trying to hide that it's like him.
No.
You know, it's nowadays, like we've said many times, of course, that Hamill tends to do the Joker voice in a lot of other projects, despite the fact that he can do a range of voices.
I think that's why they hire him, though. They go, just do that.
I used to bemoan it quite a bit, but then I rewatched in anticipation for the new season. He's Skeletor on Masters of the Universe now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Have you been watching that, Nick? I know you're a Masters.
Is there, how many have there been now?
There's the done part 1 of season 2 is out now.
Oh, okay.
So it's like 6 more episodes.
Oh, great! Then something new for me to watch on Saturday morning.
It's very very heavily referencing like the '87 movie too. I was amazed.
Oh, nice.
I was like, holy moly, they might as well just stick a cosmic key in there. It was just like it's all '87 stuff. It was great. But yeah, I grew to like. I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, he's fine, but he's just doing the Joker again. But the second time through watching it, I really grew to love him because he's like,
oh, I'm all right with him doing that. I mean, for Skeletor, it sort of works, sort of fits, doesn't it?
Yeah, but he's doing Skeletor mixed with like Tallulah Bankhead. It's great. So he keeps kind of going into this way of talking as well.
Nice.
And this is an amazing scene where he has like he becomes like a god. He gets the powers of Grayskull. And he ends up showing Evelyn like the entirety of creation from one viewpoint. And it's called like the Cosmic Nexus or something like that.
Nice.
And he's just like, this is literally everything. And Evelyn goes into this like existential crisis of like, there's just no design to anything. We're all just pointless marching towards death. And this is horrible. Like she gets in this real like, oh my God, nihilistic spiral.
Welcome to the real world.
And then Skeletor's just next to her. And he's just like, yes, but once we move this into place, I will have all the power in the universe. And then, like, Evelyn's like, oh, what are you going to do with that? It's like, I'm going to kill He-Man and all at the hands of Skeletor. He's just so into it. And she's just like, you're literally a god, and all you can think to do is kill He-Man. Like, that's your whole...
That's the most important thing.
And then at one point he's just like, oh, aren't you an imaginative little gutter rat? It's just like the way, it's the venom he says. He's a lot of fun. It's very nice. Jokery, but he's not resting on his laurels like Mark Hamill's delivering in that show. So.
He always does, yeah.
Yeah.
Never phones it in, does he?
One thing I will say, we got the weird new newscasters there as well, which are like AI
guy.
Yeah, the woman there as well. So like, is this the weird screen of the TV, or are they literally like AI newscasters? Like,
oh no, that'd be creepy.
I think I always thought it's a computer generated person, right? It's
gotta be.
Yeah,
otherwise
it's definitely.
But why would they give it such a creepy smile? Like, I guess that's just American newscasters in general. It's always a creepy beaming smile at you, making sure that you think everything's okay all the time.
Oh my God, I never ever thought about that. I just thought it was like stylistic. You know, it looks a bit like the art you'd have got in like the Long Halloween or something. So I never thought about it. But oh my God, no, it definitely is like AI. Oh,
yeah, definitely.
I like to think that was like at some point Summer Gleason uploaded her mind into the internet, and now she delivers all news everywhere all the time. I am the news.
No,
that's what we've got to look forward to, guys. It's coming our way soon.
The Summer Gleason Lawnmower Man crossover event of all this. Fingers crossed.
We get a line from Bruce that because you know. We're not jumping ahead, right? So I don't know what Bruce says, because he starts by saying that Price can either work with his program or, and then the minute ends. So what do you think he was going to say? Because I reckon it's, I don't know, he can either get with the program or I'll stick dynamite down his pants. He's done it before.
Did I ever tell you about this one Christmas?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, you can either get with the program or sit and spin. And he just puts up his middle finger.
Spin on this.
Do you have any feelings on what
I think he's gonna say, get with the program, or I'm gonna tickle him with a feather duster.
Oh, well, we know he's into kink, so
that's the one thing Alfred left him.
You'll need this, sir.
When Alfred died, I was just like, I bequeath all my belongings to Master Wayne. It's just a feather duster.
My beloved feather duster, sir. Take good care of it.
He drops it down a chasm the first day. Like, oops. And presumably Bruce he's the guy having to clean all those friggin' sculptures and stuff himself too. He can't hire somebody else to come down to, unless that is part of Terry's thing. Is just like, okay, kid, you be Batman, but also $500 extra. You can be my butler.
You'll help.
Yeah, but yeah, that is we're at the end of this chunk now as well.
It's a good chunk.
Chunky.
Of course, we do get that. One of the weird sort of things again that differentiates this from BTAS is that like this is a continuing story. So all the stuff about again Bruce Wayne taking back over his own company is roundabout referencing Wayne Powers and the fact that he was allowing his company to be sort of bought out and co-owned by a supervillain, and it happened right underneath his nose, and it's just kind of like, God damn it! I got
It's happened to us all.
Yeah, he had to step back up, and then here he is.
Doesn't want to happen again.
And then you can see him there, his moldy, old, wrinkled face barely squeezing out a smile as he's like having to shake hands with that lady.
Don't be mean.
He's like 90 years old or something, isn't he? What is he, like 80? 80 in this?
Yeah, I think if he was like 40, he would have trouble smiling. This lady is just...
He hasn't smiled for 40 years. It's difficult.
He's like, I am smiling.
BTAS Bruce Wayne would know how to smile. BTAS Bruce Wayne was all the goofy jokester who were like, at the Flying Graysons when the limelight went on him, he dropped his popcorn and looked like a goofball and stuff. But now he's just like, no,
he's not got time for all of that nonsense. No. That's the beauty of growing old. You can be miserable.
Yep. And people will just accept it because, like, well, you're old.
Maybe they should cast Clint Eastwood as the old Bruce Wayne in the future. Phantom.
People have brought that up before. Clint Eastwood was like 100,000 years old, like he is now. But I heard people suggesting him for like, back in the day for like a Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, it would have been great.
Yeah. Although now Clint, of course, like is just legitimately gone nuts in his own right. Like, right. So
yeah,
I think he would still do it too because he made like a Cry Macho movie like a year or two back.
Yeah,
and he was still on horseback playing the gunslinger and stuff. It's like, you're 98, man. Just give it up. But it's like, no, he directed it and everything. So it's like, people said it was
play to him. He puts the work in.
Yeah, people said apparently that movie was terrible, but it's like, Clint's done. In terms of quality movies, like the guy's done enough. Like if he wants to make a crap movie at 98,
he's allowed. At this point,
he still made Mystic River. Yeah, still made Unforgiven. He's proved his cred along the way. Like, even if he might be a bit of an asshole as a person, apparently he is like. Listened to a lot of stuff about his relationship with Sandra Locke, which I won't get into, but like, Clint Eastwood was a fucking scumbag.
Sadly, doesn't surprise me.
But in terms of quality of filmmaking, fantastic. But yeah. I mean, I'm all chunked out for this. I think we've blown
our chunks.
We have indeed blown our chunks. Our neo chunks.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show. It's been a real pleasure to get the mic out the cupboards and talk to you guys again. It's been a little while.
Yeah. I'm hoping this is more of a return for you in general. That we hear your voice. Like we'll also be hearing you, of course, on the Ghibli podcast. But I hope you can be lured back into the podcasting world in general.
Very happy to, mate.
We've got you now.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back, baby.
Now, I would normally ask you to, do your plugs, but you kind of have already. Did you say where to get it? You did, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, you can find it on wherever you find your podcasts, and it's called Science and Magic. The films of Studio Ghibli. Science and Magic, the and is an ampersand. We went with the ampersand because you could go AND, but then the ampersand looks better. But then if you do type AND into your little search thing, it doesn't always come up. So you go with the ampersand always.
That's ridiculous. They should have a thing in place that it just searches for both.
Just can't figure it out, can it? Of all the things that the internet can do, Can't do that.
And the ampersand looks classier.
Looks much nicer.
Much nicer. I agree. So do check it out, people. Especially Ponyo.
Yes, that'll
just to
come.
annoy Niall.
That'll come a bit
that
further
one's
down
on.
the track. I think we're putting them out every week, so that'll be.
There you go. It won't be too long.
Won't be
then.
too long.
So do that, and as usual, come and speak to us on Facebook at the Bat Minute Listeners Cave, on X. Oh, Jesus Christ, I hate saying that. I'm still not used to saying it on the Miami Minutes podcast, but I'm now. Okay, X at Bat Minute, Instagram the Bat Minute, and check out our network Sleepy Charlie Media on Patreon and TeePublic. So you can get bonus episodes, you can get merchandise. I don't know. Patreon, you can also get, what else we got on there? Commentary tracks.
You name
We've
it.
got a commentary track of Terminator 2, but the one with the new ending that nobody likes. Including us. We don't like the ending either. Terrible. So do that and join us again in 1 week for more Bat Minute Beyond Chunks of the Joker.
Next time, guess who's back? Back again. Joker's back. Tell a friend. A petrified posse of pubescent Pagliaccis pad back to home base, only to find their fearsome and familiar father figure without a smile on his face. A totally Teutonic twip questions the legitimacy of this Lazarus-like ace of knaves. But could a quick bang see Bonk Rollins in his grave? Well, flying our black flag at half-mast next week, Batmites. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minutes.